Well, welcome back, guys. Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Maybe if I get my microphone close enough, you guys will hear me. Um, it's been a little minute since we did one of these videos where we take a look at the fancy serial number market, I guess if you could call it that. And I think it was probably, end of June, somewhere around there was the last time that we did one of these videos. It used to be a weekly staple. I think as we get into the holidays, we might reintroduce us on a more weekly basis. Why is that? Well, I got like 20 notes to talk about, all within the last like 12 hours. We're seeing the frequency of the type of stuff that's being sold on eBay. And this is just, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, a very small percentage of how many notes over this time span has actually sold. Now, there's a lot more minor notes. You could kind of make the argument that those particular notes may or may not be anything special. But one thing I do know for sure is someone is going out of their way, to pay a few bucks for these notes. Whether it's double, triple, or quadruple face value for some of them, it's really immaterial at this point. There is just a wide range of varying budgets for this hobby. And that holds especially true today where, budget is really important, as people are really watching how much money they're spending on collectibles, everything is still very expensive. Gas is still expensive. Just, daily life in general is expensive. It's important that we kind of pay homage to the folks that are on the lower end of the scale as far as available collectibles funds is concerned. Um, Now we have a pretty nice range here, ranging from notes that sold for $5 to $10 to notes that sold for upwards of $5, $500. Well, we kind of have it all here today, and I think most importantly, this is a snapshot of what these notes sell for raw. We don't need to necessarily grade these for any reason. Because a lot of the collectability is baked in based off of what the serial number says, not necessarily the grade. There are notes that are in piss poor shape that nobody really cares. They're going to open up their wallet and pay you for some of the more desirable pieces in the market today. So I just want to let you guys know that. So some of the common practices that people do to find these is they simply go to the bank. They ask for some ones, twos, fives. Maybe they're going to go and do their normal Friday withdrawal. After they get paid. It could be 20s, 50s, and hundreds in there. It doesn't really matter. Just look at the notes, look at the serial numbers, and see if you have anything worthwhile. People have found one, two, three, $4,000 notes simply by going through what they have pulled out of the ATM machine. It's wild and crazy, but that is kind of the reality we live in. It's a game of chance almost, but you're playing with house money. Number one, number two, it's all a numbers game. So the more notes that you look through, the better your chances are at finding some of those extraordinary pieces. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, we don't talk about graded notes. That kind of kills the purpose of the market and how you can use this to your advantage if you wanted to make it more of a secondary source of income. It's not something that right away you're going to be making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. But as you cultivate your eBay presence and you put up notes, you'll have a lot of notes that are in that $5 to $10 range. All that money, by the time the sun sets, will all go into the same pot. So again, it's really about just stacking the profits is what we're doing here. So the first note up is a typical I guess birthday note, the way it's oriented on there. Now, when we blow this up a little bit, this is kind of like the Western way of how we as society write out, I guess, dates in general. So two numbers for the month, two numbers for the day, and then four numbers for the date. So this one reads September 2nd, 1990 on this $2 bill. That's in great shape too. That's like an extra added bonus here on this one. And people love their $2 bills. You know, it's a design that's stood the test of time since 1976. And, you know, to this day, a lot of people, you know, tend to pay a little bit more for fancies on $2 bills than they do anything else. Now, $1 bills, obviously, that's the one you want to go through because you could go through more $1 bills, um, you know, for, you know, if you had $1,000, you know, you could buy 10 hundreds, you could buy 1,000 ones. What's going to be your best kind of like chance here? And that's by going through more notes. So, pretty nice one here. This one ended up selling for $49.99, you know, as it sits right off the site here. You know, people do charge shipping. We won't talk about the shipping. We'll just talk about how much the note has sold on its own and leaving all of the external factors out. Okay, the next one that we have here is what we typically refer to as a low serial number, and it's a star note, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. But you know, serial number 601 is okay. You know, sold for $24.50. This guy Ronald JH, by the way, is one of the big sellers of fancy serial numbers on eBay currently. So he's been doing it for a while. But check out the note condition. Pretty well worn. That's probably why this particular note didn't sell for instead 40 or 50 bucks. And contrary to popular belief, I said that condition really doesn't matter, but you see this $1 bill selling for 25 bucks. You know, condition in a sense kind of still does matter a little bit. You know, that does kind of have a push and pull effect on the sale price of a lot of these notes. All right, so could have sold for a lot more if and only if it was maybe in a little bit better condition. The next one that we have here, this is what we call just a non-traditional binary. True binaries are zeros and ones by definition. This particular one has ones and nines. It's got 6 ones in there and a couple of nines. You know, considering that we're coming up close to the anniversary of September 11th, there's a lot of kind of like, stuff going on with this note. It actually ended up selling for more money than the previous note at $25 with 7 bids. So this one was bid up organically. Another rock solid sale based off of condition. This one in a little bit better condition compared to Ronald's previous note that he sold. This one I would say is more of a solid VF30, which is great for collectors. And, you know, it's one that a lot of people do prefer as far as eye appeal is concerned. This one right here, this is what we call kind of like on the fence type notes. You know, you ask a lot of the purist fancy serial number people and just overall currency paper money collectors, and they're going to tell you that things like this, you know, is probably not worth a whole lot. It's a scam. You know, these type of notes have been bid up and shilled up. Well, Ronald sold this one. And he understands the market. You know, there's going to be people that can only afford to spend about 50 bucks a month on collectibles. You know, so this one certainly does fit. It's a neat serial number. It's a trinary. That's any 3 numbers. But most importantly, it's a 6 of a kind 5s on this one. $11.50 with 7 bids. Again, you know, you're not going to get rich off of one note like this. But if you could put it into perspective, after shipping and fees, there's about $8 in profit here. All right. I'm not making things up. It's in the math. You know, you do the math, it's going to be somewhere like $7.58, somewhere around there in profit just by selling this. Again, where's Ronald put all that? Well, he puts it into the same bucket that he uses to go back to the bank and then buy more straps of ones. I can imagine Ronald probably goes through, you know, many tens of thousands of dollars in a month's time. You know, some banks are okay with that, and there are some that they have a hard time fulfilling that. You know, so you gotta make sure you have the advocacy of your local banking institution if you are going to do this, and try and spread the love is what I call it. Go to several different banks and then, you know, harvest some dollar bill packs from there rather than, you know, going to that one same bank and then, have to buy the notes there. They have to order it for you, and all the rigmarole, um, around there. Nobody has ever asked me that, but we've seen guys like Kingdom Currency, who used to be the top dog on eBay, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He used to go through 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in $1 bills in any given week, and that eventually got him shut down. So he doesn't have nearly as much inventory as they used to, reselling, and that largely affected his I guess his standings in the paper money section of the website. The next one that we have here, another Ronald sale. This is we call these hybrids. They can be pretty neat. They can be a pretty neat collectible. This one has half of a super repeater, and it's got four in a row sevens on it. So it's 3636. That's your super repeater component of it, and then the sevens. So it's a half and halfer, is what I like to call it. This one right here, a really surprising sale at $21.59 with 10 bids. And it just goes to show you, you just never know what's going to be hot. All right. It's something like this that, some of the purists, again, paper money collectors and fancy serial number enthusiasts, they'll look at things like this and kind of like scoff or just like shake their head or in disbelief or what have you. But let's remember, folks, if it looks neat and it's interesting to someone, a collector, someone who studies angel numbers is another big thing today. It didn't used to be, but it's more prevalent today. I just got to knowing that, there's a lot of people that do collect these, and I've sold a few myself to these folks that read into that stuff. So, it doesn't matter what walk of life, I'll gladly take the money, as does Ronald. It's just, it's good practice to cater to everyone. So close to a super repeat, or a super radar rather. 6 in a row fours, and then you have, 2 different digit bookends, 8 and 9 on the ends there. If it was like 2 8s, that would be a super radar, because you have 6 of the same number in the middle. $55 on this one, sale price. And guess who sold it? Our good friend Kingdom Currency, making kind of a return here on this one, doing really well. Selling a note that, typically in the business we call it a close but no cigar. But for $55, I'll throw that out the window and just say, yeah, I did well on it. So someone really loved this note and, paid up for it. The next one that we have here is our first 7 of a kind on this $20 bill. It's a 2013 series. This one features 7 8s. All right, talk about one of your more desirable numbers in general. 7s, 8s, and you could probably make the argument that 0s and 1s kind of fit in that mold as well. 9 is another one as well too, but those are kind of harder to find because the BEP only prints 96 million notes for general circulation, and then those interesting high serial number pieces, they end up going, for secondary market sales through their website, which is a U.S. Mint. So this one here, $120 sale, that seems to be on par with what these go for. It does have the little purple teller stamp at the bottom margin there. There's a few little ink areas, bleeds around the edge. Those are all teller kind of markings and stuff. Like a VF25 note here on this one. So not terrible. The serial number definitely pops here on that piece. The next one that we have here is a trinary. So it's got 3s, 1 6, and a number of 9s in there. This one sold for $10. And the big reason why I wanted to bring this one up is any note that ends in quad 9s, so 4 9s at the end, or quad 0s, 4 0s, the BEP actually pulls those notes out and they withhold those. So they call them the changeover or carryover pairs. So before this note switches over to 693 40,000, they'll pull out the 40,000 note. there. So the ones that end in 4 zeros. So typically you wouldn't find these in circulation, but recently the BEP has been a little bit more free of allowing these notes to circulate, which is cool. That works. People are finding them, and both the quad nines and quad zeros are being found. Here's a pretty cool 4-digit repeater. $22 sale on this one. 2009 is what it shows there. So, obviously, a significant year could be a birth year, could be, anything for that matter. It's just a really neat serial number because you got a 4-digit repeated twice on the serial number string, and a pretty good sale. That seems to be like kind of like par for the course, kind of like in that $10 to $25 range for repeaters of this type. So expect somewhere close to similar for that amount. Next one that we have here is a 6 in a row ones on this one. This time a note sold for $10. And then ends in 4-6. It was only 35 digits away from solid ones, and that would have been quite epic. That would have been, probably add a one in front of this 9 here, and you'd ask that's going to be not $19.99, but $1,999. So add the 1, move the decimal over twice to the right, and then again another crazy note. But let's not forget these ones here. That have, a couple digits off on the end. Still pretty nice. These typically have that value of like $5 to $10. And this one is actually in decent shape. Looks to be XF, maybe an AU. Kind of hard to tell if there's a centerfold. A little bit out of focus photos, but, we all know that this is a binary, 4s and 6s on this dollar bill. 2017 is a series, $11.49 with 3 bids on this one there. It's a little bit raggedy looking, and that's fine. Again, there's a notable floor when it comes to the value of notes, respective to its grade. Like this thing right here will never be worth $1 because of what it is. So, that's reassuring to folks who collect into these, but also sell them as well. You got to just have the confidence to throw this out there. And if you have your, what they call the subject or listing title, if you have all the base keywords of, what you're selling in there, then you'll do okay, The next one that we have here is another binary. This time you have a 6 of a kind 5s with a couple of 1s in there. Okay, not a lot better sale here at $19.99. This is a 2021 series. It's one of your newer series of notes. Pretty nice shape too. It's a good looking piece. And next one that we have here is the trinary, but this time 6 in a row zeros. Holy crap. $22 sale on this one. Okay, we're seeing a lot more like newer sellers on here with under 100 feedback, and that's great to see. That's kind of the impact that this market, and hopefully my videos probably played a small component into that, of getting people interested in doing something that they enjoy and that has like the kind of results that you want to see, to supplement your daily 9 to 5. And it's always good to have that kind of like extra stretch of income as we get into the holidays. This is important, where you can make an extra, even if it's like an extra $100 to $200, for each of those months, from October to December, is quite important. And considering that things like this is probably going to ramp up as we get into the holidays, there's just going to be more desirability for collectibles, for like gift giving and things like that. Not necessarily a market play, because the market's kind of floundering right now. It's an election year. There's things going on. Let's see the next note that we have here. All right, so first photo kind of thing. Do not lead off with the reverse image of the note, because that's going to be your main thumbnail when people's doing a general search. This is nice. There's, again, a few issues. The photo, trinary, is spelt wrong. So customarily, that particular search term won't show up if it's spelt wrong. but they did put fancy serial number, and that's generally what I type into the search field on eBay to get all of the fancy serial number types, and that's why we have this note sitting in front of us. So this one right here, as you can tell, has an almost super radar kind of deal here. It sold for $10. It's got 6 2s in the middle and a 1 and 5 on the end. And the note again, yeah, it's salty. It's like eating something too salty, and you have that kind of like thing going on with your mouth. Yeah, that's what we have here. It's nothing incredible, but $10 sale. That's solid here. Next one that we have here is another binary, but most importantly, folks, it's a 7 of a kind sixes. This one here is a dollar bill. Ronald sold this one for $73 with 20 bids. Pretty nice note. Bottom left corner, it's got a little what looks to be kind of like a after post print productions ink kind of like deal happening there. Pretty good sale, and again, don't be afraid to organically sell these starting at $5 or $1 or whatever your pleasure is, and then do like 7 days. You'll do okay there. We also have this one here, which is a $2 bill. Really, really similar to the previous note, guys. Check this thing out. It's got 7 of a kind sixes, but this one's in much better shape. It's got an 8 in the middle. That pesky 8, man, is it's not a killer. I mean, this note is not worth nothing. It did sell for $100 from a guy named Cash Depot. I think that's pretty neat. So yeah, pretty nice sale here on this one. And finally, the last one I want to draw your attention to is this bad boy right here. Talk about insane in the membrane. You guys remember that saying? This is a 7 of a kind zeros. So this is one of those notes that BEP employee would pull out of the strap, withhold those. Yeah, we got one right here with a 7 right in the middle. Now, there's no note that they printed with all straight zeros. So it's not like we could say, oh, it's almost 1. It's like, no, they don't print notes with all zeros on there. It's quite remarkable that this was found on a 2021 dollar bill. And it's phenomenal. This thing is really, really neat. He also added in the graphing here of the odds of finding some of these notes, and the numbers are staggering, ladies and gentlemen. It just shows you the how many you could expect in a 96 million run. Your odds of pulling some of these notes. I mean, it is quite telling that it takes some searching, and again, this is where the numbers game kind of comes into play. Understanding that it takes a lot of notes in order to find something neat. And it may not happen on your first time out. You could skunk, and I've done so. I'm a true testament to this. I've bought $500 in once at the local bank and didn't get jack diddly squat. And that's something that happens, but you can't let it deter you. You might go through 2, 3, 4 runs without finding anything. And it's not like you're not trying, because you're getting like $500 or $1,000, face value in $1 bills and not finding anything. But you just got to keep going. So yeah, if you want, I would say you guys can screenshot this so that way you have it. I already have this as a JPEG file. This particular graph has made its way around the community. And it's a pretty cool resource just to have. It even tells you the rarity on that last column there. So, yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap things up for this video, our little fancy serial number report. Yeah, that was, believe it or not, that was all from the last 12 hours. Again, incredibly busy market, and when you see all of these confirmed sales, that's the kind of evidence and concrete we all need to kind of, be bought in a little bit. That this segment of numismatics is A, in existence, and B, it's growing. It's growing to a whole level like we've never seen it before in the last 10 years. It's just remarkable. Well, that's going to go ahead and do things for this Friday edition of some sort of report video. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Always a pleasure. I love you guys, and keep on collecting. You will find your treasure out there. Most people usually do. All right. I will see you guys later. Have fun, and yeah, take care.